If you already have a green card in your hand and you think you are safe, think again. Because right now the United States government is going back through old files, old approvals, and old cases, and they are coming for anyone who got through the cracks. This is not a rumor. This is not speculation. This is happening right now. And if you or someone you know has a green card, you need to watch every single second of this video. Welcome back to Global Entry News, your #1 source for real immigration updates that actually matter to you. I am so glad you are here today, because this story is one of the most important things we have covered in a long time. If you are new to this channel, please hit that subscribe button right now and turn on the bell notification so you never miss a breaking update like this one. We cover U.S. immigration news every single week, and trust me, in times like these, you cannot afford to miss a single video. Now let us get straight into it. The United States Citizenship and Immigration Services, known as USCIS, has just made a massive announcement that is sending shockwaves through the entire immigration community. USCIS Director Joseph Edlow has confirmed that the agency is going back and re-vetting cases for people who were granted green cards and other immigration benefits during the Biden administration, stating there was insufficient vetting at that time. Business standard. Let that sink in for a moment. This is not about new applications. This is not about people currently in the process. This is about people who already received their green cards. People who believed their immigration journey was complete, and now the government is reopening those cases. USCIS announced it is reopening and reviewing older green card cases, including those that were previously approved, to ensure that no fraudulent activity was involved in the process. This enhanced scrutiny is part of a broader push by the federal government to address gaps in the immigration system, deter misrepresentation, and ensure that only eligible individuals are granted permanent residency status. Travel and tour world. This is a historic shift in how the U.S. government handles immigration enforcement, and every green card holder needs to understand what this means for them personally. So what exactly triggered this massive crackdown? The Department of Homeland Security, which oversees USCIS, announced it is reviewing all asylum cases that were approved under former President Joe Biden. The situation escalated after 2 National Guard members were shot near the White House, and the suspect was identified as an Afghan national who had been resettled in the U.S. under the Biden-era Operation Allies Welcome program. WTOP, this single incident became the turning point that pushed the Trump administration to launch one of the most aggressive immigration re-review campaigns in modern U.S. history. President Donald Trump directed USCIS to conduct a sweeping review of green card holders from what the administration calls countries of concern. USCIS Director Joseph Edlow stated that protecting the country remains paramount and that the American people will not bear the cost of what he described as the prior administration's reckless resettlement policies. NBC News. These are strong words coming directly from the top of the agency, and they signal that this review is not going to be a quiet, behind-the-scenes process. This is going to be aggressive, it is going to be wide-reaching, and it is going to affect real families. Now let us talk about the scale of this operation, because this is where things get truly alarming. USCIS issued a memo saying it would pause reviewing all pending applications for green cards, citizenship, or asylum from immigrants from 19 countries listed in a previous travel ban. The agency also plans to re-review and re-interview immigrants from these countries, potentially going as far back as 2021. NPR, going back to 2021, that is 4 years of approved cases that are now back on the table. 4 years of people who built their lives in America, who bought homes, started businesses, raised children, and now they are facing the possibility that everything could be reconsidered. According to an updated USCIS policy memorandum issued on January 1st, 2026, USCIS will conduct a re-review of approved benefit requests that were approved on or after January 20th, 2021. These cases may require additional screening, interviews, and re-interviews. Yale Office of International Students and Scholars. This means if your green card was approved anytime after January 20th, 2021, you could potentially be called back for additional screening. Your case could be reopened. You could face a re-interview. And depending on what they find, or what they believe they find, your green card status could be at serious risk. Director Edlow did not mince words when he addressed immigration fraud directly. In a post on social media, Edlow wrote that people perpetrating fraud should stop because USCIS is going to find them, and that if someone thinks they have already gotten away with it, the agency is going back to look. Business standard. This is a direct warning to anyone who may have submitted false documents, misrepresented their situation, or benefited from what the administration considers inadequate vetting. But here is the concern that immigration attorneys and advocacy groups are raising. What about the people who did everything right? What about the hundreds of thousands of legal green card holders who went through the proper process, submitted accurate documentation, and earned their permanent residency status fairly? While the vast majority of green card holders have legally obtained their status, USCIS is investigating whether certain approvals were influenced by fraudulent documentation or misrepresentation. These reviews could lead to the revocation of some green cards if inconsistencies or fraud are discovered. This marks a shift from previous practices, where approved cases were typically left undisturbed unless issues were flagged later in the process. Travel and tour world. That last point is critical. For decades, the general standard was that once your case was approved and closed, it stayed closed unless something major came up. That standard no longer applies. The government is now treating old approvals as open investigations, and that is a fundamental change in how immigration law is being enforced in America. USCIS is also preparing to open multiple tip lines to allow people to report suspected immigration fraud, with Director Edlow stating that no tip is too small and the agency will look into reports along with partners at ICE and CBP, business standard. Think about what this means in practice. Your neighbor, a coworker, even someone who simply does not like you could potentially file a tip claiming you committed fraud, and USCIS will investigate it. This creates a climate of fear and uncertainty that affects not just undocumented people, but legal green card holders as well. More than 190,000 Afghans have resettled in the United States since the U.S. military withdrew from Afghanistan in August 2021, according to the State Department. CNN, and that is just one nationality. When you consider all 19 countries on the list of concern, the total number of people whose cases may be reviewed runs into the hundreds of thousands. This is not a targeted enforcement action against a small group. This is a systemic re-examination of a massive portion of recent green card approvals. USCIS Director Joe Edlow made clear that American safety is non-negotiable and that the agency is committed to a full-scale, rigorous re-examination of every green card for every individual from every country of concern. Time. The language here, full-scale, rigorous, every green card, leaves no room for interpretation. This administration is committed to this review, and it is going to move forward regardless of legal challenges or public criticism. So what should you do if you are a green card holder right now? First and most importantly, do not panic, but do not be passive either. If your green card was approved after January 2021 and you are from one of the countries flagged in this review, you should consult with an experienced immigration attorney as soon as possible. Make sure all of your original documents are organized and accessible. Know exactly what was submitted in your original application. Be prepared for the possibility of a re-interview or a request for additional evidence. And if you receive any notice from USCIS, respond promptly and completely. Do not ignore it and do not delay. For those of you who went through the legal process correctly and have nothing to hide, the best thing you can do right now is stay informed, stay organized, and stay connected to trusted news sources like this channel. Immigration law is changing rapidly, and the decisions being made in Washington right now will have direct consequences on real lives across America and around the world. This story is far from over. USCIS is still in the early stages of this massive review process. More announcements are coming, more policy memos are expected, and as this situation develops, Global Entry News will be right here bringing you every update in real time so that you are never caught off guard. If this video gave you important information that you did not have before, please do 3 things for us right now. Like this video so that YouTube pushes it out to more people who need to see it. Share it with anyone you know who has a green card or is going through the immigration process. And subscribe to Global Entry News if you have not already, because we are covering this story every step of the way, and you do not want to miss what comes next. This is Global Entry News, and we will see you in the next one.